start with you. Net worth, about $20,000, which sounds like a number until you look at what it's made of. Most of it is the very car that just died, and the rest is a checking account that breathes in and out with every paycheck and is empty by the 28th. You read the quote twice, 4,900. You already know the math, but you do it anyway, the way you press a bruise. After this month's rent, you have maybe $600 that isn't already spoken for. And here's the trap that makes the bottom. You can't not fix it. No car means no commute. No commute means no shifts. No shifts means no rent. The car isn't a luxury you can skip. It's the thread the whole month hangs on. So I can't afford it, and I have to sit in your chest at the same time. And only one of them gets to win. So you put it on the card. The card that's already 2/3 full at 26%. The balance jumps. The minimum payment jumps with it. And the cost starts quietly working against you the second you drive off the lot. Money leaving your life every day for a repair you already paid for. Then the dominoes you can't stop. To cover the bigger card payment, you let the electric bill slide a week. Now it's late. Now there's a fee. You ask a friend for $40 for gas and feel something curdle in your chest as you type the message. You eat the cheap thing for dinner 4 nights running and tell yourself you prefer it. And at night, you lie awake running the arithmetic of the next 4 weeks, moving the same too small number around in your head as if it might land differently if you're just tired enough. It never does. The number is the number, and you are short, and the shortness has a sound now, a transmission, grinding. Because down here, a $4,900 problem never stays $4,900. It becomes the repair plus the carrying cost, plus the late fees, plus the next thing that breaks while there's no slack left anywhere to catch it. You weren't reckless. You didn't buy a boat. You fixed the car you need to keep the job you need. You did the only thing you could do, and it still cost you the next 6 months. That's not a personal failure. That's what an emergency does to a life with no margin underneath it. Across town, Marcus reads the exact same quote. On paper, Marcus is winning. Net worth, a little over $200,000. A house with real equity in it. A retirement account that's actually growing. A solid combined income that looks great on a mortgage application. If you saw his driveway and his life, you'd assume $4,900 is a shrug to a man like that. Here's what surprises Marcus. He goes looking for the money, and it isn't there. The $200,000 is real. It's just not reachable. The home equity is sealed inside the walls. He can't pry off a brick and hand it to the mechanic. The retirement account would cost him a penalty plus a tax hit to crack open early, and he's not foolish enough to do that for a transmission. And the checking account, after the mortgage, the daycare, the 2 car payments, and the credit card he's been responsibly paying down, has about 800 liquid dollars sitting in it. He has a $250,000 net worth, and he is short for a $5,000 repair. He actually laughs out loud, alone in the kitchen, because it makes no sense and total sense at the same time. So Marcus does what comfortable people do. He puts it on a card he'll clear next month, tells himself it's fine, and it mostly is, but it stings in a place he wasn't expecting, because for the first time, he can see daylight between how wealthy he looks and how little of that wealth he can actually touch on a Tuesday. Marcus isn't broke. He's something sneakier. He's fragile in a nice house. And the cruelest part is how invisible that fragility was to his neighbors, to his co-workers, even to himself until this exact moment. Every statement set on track. The net worth app pointed up and to the right. Nothing ever warned him that up and to the right and able to survive a Tuesday were never the same line. that he'd quietly built the first one while skipping the second. He just learned the difference between owning a lot of money and being able to reach any of it when the bill is due Friday. At the top of the hill, Eleanor gets the same call, the same number. She's worth a little over $20 million. She reads the quote, says, "Fine, go ahead and fix it," and has forgotten about it before lunch. Not because she's smarter than you and not because she's a better person than Marcus, because of how her $20 million is actually arranged. She keeps a real cushion, boring, liquid, ordinary cash that just sits there doing nothing for exactly this. The 5,000 doesn't come from anywhere clever or stressful. It comes from the float she deliberately keeps so that a $5,000 surprise is a non-event by design. And underneath the cushion, she owns things that produce. A couple of small commercial units that other people pay rent to use. A stake in a business she helped build that pays her whether or not she opens her laptop. That month, those assets earned several times the cost of the repair while she did absolutely nothing. So the emergency was paid by money her ownership made, not by money she had to find. Same $4,900. For you, it was a sentence. For Marcus, it was a scare. For Eleanor, it was a line item someone else quietly handled. So line all three up. Same car, same sound, same number, same week. Now notice the thing that did not decide their Tuesdays, their net worth. Because Marcus, at $200,000, was far closer to your panic than to Eleanor's calm, even though on paper he is worth 10 times what you are. The number that's supposed to mean you're safe now didn't protect him at all. It just sat there, locked, while he reached for a card like everybody else. Here is the thing almost nobody measures, the thing that actually decided who slept and who didn't. Liquidity. Can you put your hands on real money right now without setting something else on fire to get it? You had a real need and nothing liquid. Marcus had a big number and nothing liquid. Eleanor had a cushion she owned outright, plus assets that quietly refill it. Only one of those three is actually safe, and it isn't the one with the second biggest net worth. Net worth is a photograph. Liquidity is whether you can move. And a $5,000 emergency never asks what you're worth on paper. It only ever asks one question: what can you reach by Friday? So here's the move, and it's quieter and more boring than just earn more. Before anything clever, before investing, before any of it, you build the unglamorous thing first, a real cushion of cash that is actually yours and actually reachable, not invested, not penalized, not trapped in the walls of a house. Liquid. It is the least exciting money you will ever set aside, and it is the only money that turns a $5,000 disaster back into a $5,000 annoyance. You build it slowly, a little at a time, and then you leave it completely alone. You will feel faintly stupid watching it sit there, earning you nothing. Right up until the Tuesday, it silently saves your entire year. Most people never build it because it feels like the least productive money they own, cash that just sits there earning almost nothing while everyone online brags about returns. So they skip it and they stay one Tuesday away from a crisis no matter how high their net worth climbs. Don't skip it. It is the floor every other smart thing you do gets to stand on. Then, over years, you do what Eleanor did. You put money into owning real things that pay you back. A stake in a real business. A place that collects rent instead of charging it. Equity in something that grows and throws off actual cash. So the cushion isn't just a dead pile you have to keep refilling by hand. It gets topped back up by assets you own, and the next emergency gets absorbed by money your ownership made while you were asleep. And whatever you do, do not chase the look of it. Marcus had the look, the house, the income, the rising net worth. And a $4,900 repair still walked straight to the soft spot because the look of wealth and the liquidity of wealth are two completely different things, and only one of them shows up when the shop calls. So chase the boring floor first. a liquid cushion you own, then assets that owe you nothing and pay you something. Build that for years, stay boring, and one day the emergency comes, because it always comes, and you'll read the number, and you'll say, fix it, and you'll go back to your lunch. Somewhere right now, 3 cars are making the same ugly sound in 3 different driveways. 3 people are about to read the same number off 3 different phone screens. One has nothing underneath to absorb it. One looks rich and can't reach a single dollar of it in time. One barely looks up from her coffee. Same $4,900. Same week. The repair didn't decide who was okay. What each of them had already built, quietly, liquid, owned, decided that years before the transmission ever failed. The emergency was never the test. It just reads back the answer you'd already written. What you build now is the part that's yours.